huge. We get the big names as well from the Maestro boys at the very end there, both of them battling, this time not against each other, but back to back. So that would be good to see how they're both performing as a bit of a benchmark, because they're up against good competition as well. Cooler and Avok, lots of legends towards the end of the day. So this one could actually be really fun. I think we've got a different sort of different take to the games tonight.
Yeah, and obviously pressure's definitely on Cooler and Avok to put out some results there. They've been on the ropes for a little bit, so we know what to expect from Wenger and Razy at this point. And feeling a bit sorry for Wenger. Every time he seems to almost take that next step forward, Razy then just goes and once again puts him back into the shadows. So I'd like to see him continue to develop.
Just leaps over him, like a very aggressive game of Quake-based leapfrog. But you got to. The competition never stops. The grind never stops. However, in terms of the first game we're looking at, of course, it's Spart1e taking on Base. I think this is an interesting one in the sense that Spart1e's still been having a lot of ups and downs, and we've seen some great moves from at times. There's been key moments as well. Even throughout duels that have looked bad, where he's walked away over last, he's had moments of brilliance in those duels, and it's still really sick to see him playing to a high pedigree. It's just the consistency that I feel like's dropped off a little bit.
It's got that Tox effect. Yeah. Maybe it's a Swedish thing, because we said the same thing last season, and it looks like he's putting in good results. He's looking sharp some of the time, not all of the time, but the results are not reflecting what he's been showing us. And be honest, I don't think Base is a good matchup for him. I think, and I mean, saying that, it's why he comes out and hits 80% rail, as he can do.
Yeah.
I mean, tables do turn, but on paper, the way in which Base plays does nullify a lot of the strengths of Spart1e, which is using his mechanical skill to overbear you, particularly the rail, because Base isn't going to give you those type of angles. And then if the momentum begins to fall away, Spart1e will struggle. So I'm expecting Base to walk away, but as you said, like we've seen moments of greatness, and if he can string together a bit more consistency, he might be safe. But at the minute, it's a bit of a tussle between him and Garpy down in the lower echelons of the leaderboard.
That makes sense. I think that's a very fair way of looking at the game, really, in terms of the series, right? That we probably should believe Base will walk away as the victor, but that there is a chance for Spart1e to turn up, which I think has kind of been the outcome we've had throughout all of the games so far for Spart1e this season. I would like to just get into this one and see how it goes, though, because I don't really think we can give Spart1e too much of a fair rapport in terms of, talking about it until we get to this point and have a good look at the veto. See if there's any edge at all in it for him, because he needs something, Dan. Base is going to be a hard opponent.
Base is going to be a hard opponent, and I'm actually looking to Base this season to see how he adapts, because over the last 6 months or so, his strongest map pool has kind of been picked apart with the way in which it's developed and the meta's gone. We've lost the Blood Run, we've now lost Blood Covenant, and so on and so forth. And so these are maps which were staples for Base. So we're going to have to see a bit of adjustment in terms of how he plays them out. But looking at the maps, Ruins is a really safe pick for Base. We know he likes that map, and we've seen the strength of Eisen and the use of the turret there, both information and particularly defending the heavy and the mega. It's got some good positioning. Quite liking the pick of Galena there. I think it plays into Base's tempo and means that Spart1e himself will have to play a bit more restrained than he might other do if he picked a faster champion, so not too bad. Interesting to see an XR pick. Obviously, haven't seen a huge amount of it coming out, so not entirely sure how it's going to play out, and we're going to have to see. But they both picked pretty aggressive champions. Obviously, Base on Athena might try to play a bit more restraint and use the hook more for repositioning than for aggressive pushes, but he's got it all in his locker. And then Vale, which is probably my favorite map so far in the current pool. BJ, Ranger, really like the Ranger pick, but we know how safe and strong Base can play on the Blazkowicz.
Yeah, I mean, it's rough just in terms of the XR pick for me, because I am still curious of where that's fitting into the meta, how it's going to gel for a lot of these players. I do like the fact that, as you said, though, we've got two very fast, aggressive champions on there. Also, Base, again, even though he's known for just avoiding and evading and being quite a nuisance when it comes to fights and scurrying himself away, on Athena, he can do that effectively, but he can also engage when he wants to turn the tide. So that could be really unique on XR.
Yeah. And you'd expect both these players to be highly competent on the map now.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
I do know for a fact that Spart1e is someone who puts in the hours, and so it might be the edge there that he has just that little bit more nuanced play on XL, given more experience. I honestly don't know how much Base has been focusing on that map, but considering he hasn't banned it out, Bumman think he's happy to play it.
Absolutely. Surely at this point, it's got to have been going into the repertoire. You've got to get your reps in every day and just try and get yourself up to speed, right? We saw a lot of love from it, really, from Rafa back in week 1 when he had the interview about it, saying that it's a map that he's kind of glad it's been added to the pool in the terms of just keeping things fresh, adding new maps from Quake Champions exclusively as well. So it seems like it was at least a good reception, Dan. It wasn't lukewarm to it from the community.
No, and the feedback I've got from the pros who've been playing is they really enjoy it. It's just one of these, particularly in the early weeks, you want to get that extra week or so of practice, or maybe wait until you see other people play it just to work out some strategies you might not have innovated yourself. But we're at a point now, moving into week 4, we get into the middle of the season, you're going to want to start refining it. And if it's going to be one of your stronger maps, it's a good time to play it.
Oh, absolutely. I do agree with you entirely, though. Veil to close us out, mate. We, by far, got incredibly lucky with week 1 with some of the games we got on Veil. They were outrageous. I asked you what shape you'd be. You were quick on the draw. It was fantastic. It was almost as good as the games.
Yeah, I'm always quick on the draw. High IQ.
High IQ, low chance of hitting. You shoot fast, but it never really lands. That's the story.
It's quite the opposite of my old play style, but I'll take it for today.
It's all right. We'll ease in slow with the jabs. We'll work our way up. We've got a whole 6 rounds to go, Dan. We can box back and forth before the end of this one. And we're not even.
I don't need to give you any jabs given that outfit today, mate. You're doing it for yourself.
Oh, stop it! That's outrageous. I mean, I'm glad to see you've come dressed as Santa Claus. However, you are about a month late.
Pretty standard. Anyway,
we're going in. We've got a present here, though, Dan, haven't we?
We do indeed. I love Spart1e's camera angle. It's pretty epic, and I'm really enjoying the production overall this season, having camera angles throughout and the reactions throughout. I think Quake's one of those games that elicits emotion. Spart1e is someone that holds emotion right on his sleeve. So if he can control it, he's in with a good start. And we have a slow opening here. They've traded items. Spart1e on the high ground finds the turret. He knows what's up with base on the far side of their map, but hasn't got a ranged weapon yet, so decides to fall back.
Oh man, POV, you're under Spart1e's desk. That's the look we've gone for here. It's a good angle though. Let's see if base is going to be under his thumb throughout the course of this map. Opening rail coming in, but it's a near miss, Daniel. Not quite connecting. The rocket barrage a little bit awkward as well, but they finally start to land. Can't hit the follow-up rail though, and base buffs out the damage, at least taking a hefty 90 as he backs out. And this is really a hyper-aggressive bout between the two of them so far. Constant swings there, looking to deal as much damage as possible. Finally deviating for control of the heavy. Still really messy, Dan. Trying to commit to it. Bounces in with the rockets both low. Good connections. Quick switch to the LG from base. And that cleans up against Spart1e, finding himself the first frag a minute in.
I'm liking the confidence for Spart1e in his mechanical skill, but when you don't know the timing, it's always going to be a little bit messy down there. And you saw the pin, perfect precision timing from base, one in that encounter. Spart1e pushing in aggressively. He knows how low base is. He has the weapons this time as well. Hasn't got a rail, so we'll have to fall back. He's done a lot of damage. Might be able to hit an exit rail here, but he's actually going to full on commit once again. Oof, not too clean on the timing, but it works out okay. Not taking any damage.
Oh, wow. Beautiful rail there, just over the top of the half wall. Keeps on landing them, but they're both actually going neck and neck off the back of this. Mega spawns in as well, makes this really awkward for Spart1e. It was a do or die moment. If he hit the follow-up, he could have shut him down. Timing-wise, it doesn't work out. Doesn't capitalize on the kill. Let's hit a nice little rail, though. Chipping back and forcing base to at least slow this one down. But he is now 2 frags up, Dan. We know what he's like. You give him 1 frag, and he's willing to just slow down the game to a snail's pace.
Yeah, you can see the high-risk play style that Spart1e is employing here. Like all of these engagements so far, he's not been in the right position or have the right weaponry to take them on. And once again, he's just bullying his way in. He hasn't got rockets. If base was set up for that, it wouldn't have worked, but it has done. He's also delayed it as well, so not entirely sure if base heard that timing. He's extremely weak. Spart1e has a lot of leverage in terms of his stack to work with now and wants to use it before picking up the next range of items.
Ooh.
Perfect.
Good timing, good play. Slow it down, just hold, wait for the peak to come around. And swats him out of the air like a fly. He's dropped down to the ground. 3 minutes in now. It's 1 frag differential between the both of them. We've got a single totem placed as well from Spart1e, and he will be able to get his second down. Playing around the Mega, muddying the timing a little bit here. as he peeks out. If he can get a bit of damage off, this could be a smart move. Spots him going through the teleporter. They both have to back off. And he's just going to make his move swiftly back over to Mega to finally pick it up.
Lovely. And what I'm really enjoying from Spart1e so far, he should get this frag.
Nice.
Oh, eats a rail, that's pretty painful. But what I'm really enjoying from Spart1e is he's not just running around the map like headless chicken. He's actually slowing the pace, checking, and catching base off guard by using those audio cues. And as you say, muddying the timing. You can see base is set up for the Mega here, but it's been so delayed, he doesn't know. So he's just try and use the spam and splash damage to delay Spart1e's entrance, which he has done perfectly. He's won himself the Mega, but you can see the strategy from Spart1e.
Saving grace as well. Still 2 totems placed. And he's able to farm up some hourglasses. Peering over the top of the ledge. Drops down towards Heavy. Good tag from the Rockets. That's it stolen though. Base throwing the vest on his chest. Trying to leave Spart1e looking like a mess as the Rockets connect. Good transition across the rail. This is big from Spart1e. And he cleans up. He takes so much damage, Dan. But he still gets the kill and gives himself the edge in the duel.
But yeah, base knows how much damage he's taken as well, so he wants to push in aggressive. He's trying to find Spart1e. Spart1e's had to leave the Mega as well. So as much as base lost out on that encounter, he's won out on the map control here. He's got good weaponry, and he will be able to push down for the Heavy. Spart1e wants to hit some damage on the exit for the Heavy here. Knows he can't full commit. Base actually pushes aggressive. They meet. Spart1e's got the one weapon. He does hit.
What?
Somehow he bounces base around, and they trade.
No! That was sick! That was sick, Dan! Oh, that was a fantastic flurry of frags. Man, if there's a way to get you ready for a day of Quake Sundays, this is probably it, Dan.
I would say so, and Spart1e's also got the overstack up, so he's really helping to push in here. Base might not realise that. He's done a lot of damage, and he hits the rail. Oof. Overstack can still be up if Spart1e can get a little bit more time for another totem as well. This is so back and forth. Chaos ensuing.
It's a tug of war for dominance. And Spart1e, he's got those big biceps and he's putting them to use as he gives a big old tug and starts to get the game back in his favour, doing nice damage against base. There's the response though, the 90 on top of the wall, leaving them in a similar position. The drop down, you're so exposed, there's nothing that can be done while you're hanging in air, and he pays the price because of it. HP now shattered, the stack not looking good, luckily. Gets through the teleporter there to stay alive, but base is still taking pot shots. Issue is, Dan, he's missing, whereas Spart1e certainly isn't.
Spart1e isn't. The accuracies aren't that impressive from either one of the players, but the clutch moments are. Spart1e coming out, exactly hitting the shots he needs to. And he seems to have base a little bit rattled on the ropes here. I said he was going to struggle with the tempo that base is playing, but Spart1e's the one that's actually dictating this, and it's all come about from that splitting of the items earlier on that really disheveled base's thought process.
It sent him into a hizzy. A nosedive that he's not been able to pull himself out of just yet. Spart1e's still trying to lay it on. Locking him down into position there to gain control of the Mega once again. 9 seconds till Heavy's up. This could be both of the major items in one swift rotation, but it's going to have to be a fight for him. Misses out on the opening rail engagement. Realizes at that point, call it quits. Back off. Base wins out on the item.
But the one thing base has done so far is making sure that a lot of these frags and encounters, he's come out relatively even in terms of stacks. That's why we only see it as a 5-4 scoreline. It feels like Spart1e's had a bit more dominance than that, to be fair. So credit is where credit's due, and base has done a good job of nullifying the pressure from Spart1e a lot of the time.
Little Timmy there. The tiny turret giving away his location. Base not wanting to make a single step out of place. Slowly tiptoes his way around. Back over by Heavy. Grabs it. Comes straight up the bounce pad. Good tag from Spart1e. There's a follow-up as well. And he gets the totem down. Pocket heal being put to use. They switch to the LG as the lightning is being fired through the air. Oof, so much damage down. But they both concede. Attempting to back off and stay alive. Peeks him from the high ground. Actually does hit it though. Further hammering home. The base wants to get control of the game again here.
This is the first time all match, really, we've seen base play that style he wants to, just using the high ground advantage. It's been Spart1e that had a better positional game, and now let's see what the defensive game of Spart1e is made of, as base has wound himself up with a really healthy stack, and he's the one on the prowl for Spart1e. But the overstack could be crucial.
Spots him, bouncing around, trying to put that movement to good use. Leaping round the corner with the LG. Good opening initiation. Spart1e firing away those rockets does enough damage to actually initiate and try and take the fight to him. First rail lands, but the second will miss. At least able to turn to shut down the turret. He's really hoping he can actually pick him off here. Get himself to a 6-frag lead. Nice. And that's the way it's going to go. The 2-tap from the rail, back-to-back connections. The Swedish superstar Dan soaring to a first map victory if he can keep this up.
He really is, and it's all come down to these clutch rails. We obviously highlighted how important Spart1e's rail would be, and it is paying dividends at this point. Ace actually plays nice and silent and managed to steal away that Mega. Spart1e must have left it up, so he realizes that mistake now. Heavy's up as well, but Spart1e's just on the run. He knows that time is very much on his side. Base setting up around that telly, so he's now forced Spart1e away. Caught him out in the open, but once again, he's not connecting. Spart1e is the one that hits that initial rail and forces Base away. 45 seconds to go, he's going to have to take a risk, but that's not the play. And Spart1e will be picking up map 1.
It's his, it's in the bag. Oh my. Securing the bag, literally and figuratively, off the back of this one. 30 seconds left on the game. 7-4 split. Spart1e just turning up. A close affair for the opening couple of minutes, but Spart1e, he eased into this one down. The game plan was there from the start. It looked like he wasn't that warmed up, honestly, coming into it. It felt like he was a little bit slow to the burn, and then out of nowhere, the rails start hitting, the momentum goes in his favor, and you could see the strategy was there for this first map.
Yeah, we know what to expect from Spart1e in terms of rail, but as you say, it was that strategy, the delaying of the items and the splitting of them that really got him the advantage in the mid game. Base lost out on a couple of big frags just by not knowing when the timings were. I mean, that's complete contrary to the start where Spart1e was just pushing in himself, not knowing the exact timings, and lost out. But as soon as he got control, he played extremely well around the items, and then there was just a couple of really clutch moments where Spart1e was connecting with the rails and Base wasn't. So it was the finest of margins really to win Spart1e that victory, but full credit to him. He's taken Base on his own game and won.
He's popped off. He was also hitting some actually really tasty shots as well. I think that's one of the big aspects, right? And that's something that Spart1e needs to have. When he's on point, when you can see that his reflexes are turning, that the reactions are there, he can absolutely give it. And he can go toe-to-toe with some of the best in the scene. And that's what we had tonight. And it restricts Base so much. There was a couple of times where he started to slow down the pace of the game, went for some big plays, some big engagements from major items, but half the time he just wasn't coming away with anything. Spart1e was always doing well with the opening shots, rockets were landing, good rails to finish.
Exactly, and it was just such clinical play that there was moments in that game where you felt that Base was wondering what can I do in this situation. I think it was the comeback frag where he cornered Base over by the tri-bolt area and just played extremely slow, played almost the Base style, waited for him to show his face, got the frag, swept up both items, split the items, and then followed that up with a couple of succession frags because of that item control. So it was just a really clinical display from Spart1e that shows exactly what we talked about in the opening. He has these moments of greatness, and if he can continue that and show that consistency in maps 2 and 3, no reason why you can't take this series.
The weird thing about it is as well, obviously, in terms of the statistics there, you might glance at that and think it was fairly close in terms of a lot of the rails and it was really tight. I'd say it was a night and day difference in a lot of the actual rail shots that were coming out. Base, pivotal rails that were being missed on, that could have been the difference from this scoreline actually being far further in his favor, if not potentially a win for him here. There was a couple of very key fights where he just didn't hit the shots. It looked a little bit slow from him, which is unusual, really.
Yeah, it did feel that Base was a little bit off in terms of his gameplay. We often know him for not being somebody who exposes himself too much, and there were, as you say, a couple of engagements where A, Base wasn't hitting, and B, he was just overexposing. Both of them over by that light armor. He went to hard commit for a light armor and took on Spart1e in a rail engagement and just didn't come out on top. Spart1e hitting successive rails and Base hitting nothing. So you cannot fail in moments like that because, as you see, Spart1e can run away with the game.
Now, obviously, if we're moving on to the second map here, if we shift that focus towards Exile, in terms of what we got with the champions, is there anything immediately off the top that you're looking at that's like a glaring issue, or is this literally just going to be, we'll see how it goes then?
We'll see how it goes. I think they both have their strengths and weaknesses in this map. I like Athena because of the multi-level and the use of the hooks, but at the same time, if Spart1e can use the inject effectively, keep it up, and use that speed then to pressure the Athena and catch him, which is difficult, that's where Spart1e is going to come out on form. But let's see, we're already jumping in, and it is a big engagement over the rail, and Spart1e's the one that comes out on top.
Okay. All right. I mean, you know, he's coming in and he's living true to the theme of the map. He's far too cold to hold to start things off, but Base, certainly not too hot to handle, as he has been put out like a candle, dropped down on the ground. Already, 2 frags have been picked up here for Spart1e in the space of 30 seconds. If that's not aggressive, I don't know what is.
Not at all, and he's actually favouring the super shotgun at this point, closing the gap. Obviously, there's some lower routes you can go through relatively unseen and just appear in your opponent's face, and that's exactly how Spart1e's playing at the moment. Not even got a rocket until now. Slowing the pace down as well. You can see Base on the lower ground. Nice rail from below as well, but Spart1e does have the inject up if he wants to use it. He's already used one so far this game, and we'll have to use a second one here as Base now retaliates with a couple of good rails of his own.
Huge stack advantage to work with. Trying to capitalise off the back of that fact. Spart1e dancing around beneath him. Smooth moves, is able to get himself the heavy. And turns on a dime as well, looking to re-engage here. Good angle in play. Hits the rail, but he's losing health fast. Has to concede, needs to get away, and he can't. As he's pumped full of lead from the shotty. Base with the opening frag, and Base straight in, Dan. Hefty damage from the spawn that turns into a kill. That was smooth.
Quick encounter over on Exile as both these players run relenting in their pressure. Going to have a big fight here for the heavy. Spart1e does only rockets and not connecting with anything. Base with a shotgun of his own to the face, and that's painful. What? Off the spawn as well.
Oh, he is abusing these spawns right now. The understanding here is crisp. Really good gameplay so far from the way Base is playing this. Maintaining the high ground. It looks like we're watching the end of that Star Wars movie. The way he's just giving it right now, it's like the prequels, but that was certainly a nicer affair. Spart1e jumping over the top, good moves, tries to do the same to him, but can't hit him.
Quick encounter so far, both hitting lovely rails. We said at the start, will Base be the one that is not comfortable on this map? And certainly he is saying, I am not. Great rails that we didn't see last game.
No, this is crisp. Way, way better.
81% rail.
It's big, man. It's a huge margin. A very slim margin for error so far with the way Base has been able to play this. I'm liking the way that he's sticking himself to the high ground as well. Abusing this map to his advantage. Little peaks here and there. Enough damage to put fear into Spart1e. Again, though, he does get away with the item, but it shouldn't matter, as you wouldn't realise it, Dan. His stack burnt to a crisp already.
Yeah, it's a fair point that at the moment we're seeing a very clear contrast in styles. They meet here over a couple of lightning guns and Base comes out on top. But as to your point, Base is favouring the higher ground at the moment, playing the angles a little better. Yeah. Where Spart1e's kind of running the lower routes, running from item to item. So you can see a very distinct playstyle shift here. And at the moment, it is definitely Base that's winning out. Big shotguns though. Spart1e did a lot of damage. That means we should see an aggressive push from Spart1e. Oh. He's off the map.
Goodbye. He's out. Home run for Base. 7-3. The first 2 kills were picked up in 30 seconds for Spart1e. Don't forget that. This was a very big way of opening the map, but since then, Base has been hammering home, pounding, frag after frag away to etch himself into the history books here in his second map. He wants to keep it close and keep the series hanging on a thread by the time we get to Vale. That seems to be the outcome. There's still a lot left to go through. Only 4 minutes burnt out on the clock. Bouncing around, looking to get himself another kill. Timing-wise, we've got 10 seconds till Mega's up. 15 until Heavy is back in the fold. Here's him, tries to turn around. Fires off with a rail, but misses. Rocket not going to land either. Base finally dropping stack for the first time in quite some time, but he hits the rail, shutting him down and leaving this one hanging in the balance. Oh, damn! The swing in! Way. He gets the Heavy and the kill. Oh, that is despicable.
And this is snowballing out of control to Spart1e now, where 6 frags the difference, and he's trying to take on Base, but Base has a much better item control at this point, and Spart1e's taking these engagements without the stack, and as much as he is connecting with some good damage, it's just not enough to knock Base off his perch. Good, aggressive push out of the teleporter here, takes Base on with the lightning gun. Base is just going to reposition, get over to the Heavy, but no, he's late! He can get about Spart1e around, Spart1e with the lightning gun, he can switch to the shotgun. Wow.
It's like a game of shuttlecock. He just kept banging it up in the air over and over again. The Spart1e, now trying to bring down the pain, hits him with a vertical rocket, and at least gets the kill. 5 minutes have gone by. It's a 9-5 split here. And Spart1e, he has a good opportunity to get himself back in the game. Recovers ammunition as well. He's got the LG to play with when necessary. Baiting out base. Trying to fool him here. Drops down. The opening engagement rail not going to land. This works out better for base, but the rockets at least hold him back somewhat. He holds close on the teleporter. He's being pushed. Spart1e giving it his all in this engagement, Dan, and he's so low. One fatal error from dying again and giving him the 10th kill, and he backs off.
This might be a symptom of the champion pick. Obviously, picking the Anarchy, you have the speed, you've got the air control, you want to be pushing and using that to the most of your ability, but what we're seeing here is actually pretty much the dire opposite of what we saw in the previous map from Spart1e, where he was playing extremely calculated, positional, using the rail to create openings. Whereas here, he's trying to force the issue a little bit too much for me. Obviously, the scoreline is now being closed, but you can see he hasn't got timing. He's trying to force, he's trying to be aggressive, and it's not working. That was close.
Wow, he's trying to give me a heart attack.
Oh, base knows exactly what's up.
Yeah, that was a heartbreaker from base.
He knows exactly what's up now.
This is rough, Dan. Least gets out of there. That's the Mega gone before his very eyes. Gets back over to Heavy. Same position that we've seen previously. Spart1e having to keep his belly low to the ground. Running around on the lower levels of the map whilst base perches himself up on a pedestal. Ooh, spots him out, teetering round the corner. Goes in with the LG. Doesn't work out the way he wanted it to. Pieces out again and just runs.
And it's going to be very difficult from here on out because this map, you can play the corners, you can play slow. Yes, it's a fast-paced map. Yes, it's quite close-knit, but there's also so many positional traps you could take, and that's exactly what doing. Lovely use of the grapple, but it's not enough. Spart1e has a great swap to the shotgun. Weapon of choice so far.
That was clean, though. That grapple was really, really sick. But this is sickening stuff from Spart1e. Back in the game. Here we go. 9-8. This is doable, Dan. It's getting closer.
Oh, 100%.
Moving away as well from what was previously his initial route, right? We saw him so dedicated to the low ground in the first 3 minutes of the game, and it was punishing him. Now he's been contesting a lot more. He's taking the fight to base, and base looks nowhere near as comfortable as he did.
No. Question is, what can he do to get back into it? Spart1e's got a good lockdown on both items. Opening rail is strong. He's going to have to hit another one to even up the stacks. But he's got the high ground once again, and Spart1e's going to have to force his way out. Base is ready for it. He's going to reposition now. Connecting good. Spart1e's not.
Rails being traded left, right, and center. Smooth moves as he baits him out. A bit of bypass both of those shots. Clean connection with the LG as well. That was brilliantly timed. Good 4-4 on him there. Having that LG ready as he went round the corner. Spart1e, his brain's kicking into overdrive right now. Big brain plays and big brawn as well. Smite space to take the lead, 10-9.
Both these players having a mighty challenge to play defensive on this map, and that is, yes, very characteristic of it being a new map, as you don't know the best positions to take, the best traps to make. And it's showing here as base is struggling. He's desperately pushing into these major items without a real clue on when the timing is or what to do around it. Spart1e, that's not a good push, so he does back off. Ah, he misses an easier rail for his standards and allows base off the hook with just about a minute to go. He can't afford to make a mistake because we've seen how easy it is to convert off of those spawns.
You've got to be careful. You could go down in a hizzy very quickly here on Exile. However, there's always the opportunity where the shoe could be on the other foot. Spart1e, if he keeps up this style of play, very reminiscent of what base would do in this situation, Dan. Avoiding, keeping yourself scurrying around and wasting time. It could work out well, but he goes for the teleporter, takes the rocket straight to the lips, and he has been destroyed. 11-10. What?
Why? Big brain. He tried to big brain him. That was not a 5-head move. That was a Kappa move, and now he's going to die for it. Back-to-back deaths.
Oh, we said it could turn on a dime. It's exactly what's happened. It all comes down to this point now. You've got 20 seconds and look at the position. Back over by Heavy, trying to dig his nails in and hold on to this game. This could be going to sudden death. If it keeps on like this, that's the position we're going to be left in. All decided by one frag to see if this series goes one map apiece or if it will be a 2-0 so far for Spart1e. We end up in sudden death. It all starts now.
Base knows what's up. He has got the heavy, but he's also taken 2 rails for his troubles. Base sweeps up the Mega. He's in a good position here. He's going to slow the pace down, use that audio cue. Spart1e realizes that Base is trying to set a trap, so he himself holds out. Base knows exactly what's up. He drops him with a heavy shotgun.
What?
Oh, Spart1e gets away for now, but he did have to pop the inject.
Man. Skin of his teeth stuff there. Very, very close. 40 seconds into the sudden death now. That was the big swoop. The big guillotine play from Base, but it didn't work out the way he wanted to. He's getting items though. Mega's up very soon as well. This could favour Base so much, but off the back of that rail, he's looking to try and force this issue. Take this fight a little bit more. See how deep he can dig this knife in and shut down Spart1e. This stack is tiny, Dan, and it wouldn't take much to finish him here. Base, he's got to be pumped full of confidence at this point.
Yeah, Spart1e's taking a few blows to the head. He's really struggling. He's on the ropes. He's going to hit some big rockets. What? He's done it! Oh my god.
The clutch from Spart1e! Oh! That's
just
sick!
When you think he's down and out, he comes with a hidden uppercut from nowhere and just knocks Base down and out himself. That was absolutely incredible.
That's ridiculous. That's absolutely outrageous. I don't know how on earth he's done it. Swedish man pounds Russian man in final moments of overtime. Outrageous. Clip it. Do something with that. That was not acceptable behaviour.
That was a Rocky IV moment right there.
Mate, that genuinely, like the final twist, it was an M. Night Shyamalan style finish. Crazy from Spart1e. Both of them put their heart and soul into that matchup as well. That was really sick. In terms of a game of Exile, that was dope, Dan.
It was dope. It wasn't clean, it wasn't pretty. In terms of strategy, it was very raw around the edges, but it was fun to watch, and you can see the potential this map has. They both have very distinct style, as we said, throughout, and it was so back and forth, and you can see the challenge on this map as a player is how do you defend? It's so close-knit. You've got so many angles to play from, and spawn conversion is very easy, so I'm expecting to see some big, juicy matchups as we progress through the season on Exile.
Oh, hell yeah, man. I think that's the cool thing as well about all of the maps that we've seen, you know, getting their chance finding the map pool. Really aggressive, really fast, really flashy. For that to be the final kill as well, in sudden death, in that manner. Just a sudden drop of Base's HP. Well, I felt my heart sink, my stomach drop. It was like I went over a bump in a car. I was just like, what is going on?
Yeah, you can see that statistically, Spart1e got massively bullied in that map. Yeah. You know, nearly a 2,000 damage differential, but he was so effective when he got that control, when he got that kill, to follow it up with successive kills without being able to do anything. And on the defense, whilst he was struggling, he was clearly getting away. And so you can see perhaps a slight experience advantage come to the fore. It was his pick after all, and he's taken it serious 2-0 so far. If he can get a clean sweep on the base, that would be amazing for his confidence.
Oh, taking a 3-0 against Base is ginormous, right? Because obviously Base is still one of these contenders that we expect to see in the upper echelons come the end of the season. He's always been a hot prospect. There's been multiple times at stage finals where I've looked at him and gone, you know what? Base is always going to be my dark horse. He's the sort of player that turns up in brackets, turns up when you least expect him, and runs away with the course of the game. So for you to be able to get the whole 3-0 off him, steal away all those points, you'd be living it. It'd be a hell of a way to start off the season for Spart1e. And in terms of a win, that's got to reinvigorate you for the rest of the stage, right?
Definitely, particularly given map 1, how strategically perfect he played throughout. Obviously, it's a bit more chaotic on Exile, but he lives in Chaos, Spart1e, and so he was born in it. He was molded by it, and he thrives in it. So it was good to watch, but we are going to move on to final map, which is Veil, another map which could be chaotic, but it could also just be an absolute stranglehold if you get a good control early on. Ranger against Blazkowicz, expecting some good pace coming out from the Ranger. And Spart1e can use that orb creatively and get into Base's face. No reason we can't see a repeat in a 3-0 sweep.
I think it could happen. I genuinely think at this point, you've got to come into it. Both of these players now, they're going to be amped up. I expect this one to be very aggressive, reminiscent of what we just saw on Exile. Because Base has got to be seething on the inside. And already, here's the first engagement. They try and kick it off. Scraping against one another. Lots of damage done to either one of our competitors. Spart1e backing off, trying to keep himself alive. A little bit of a chase from Base, but he opts to actually turn on a dime. Oh, had the double LG to work with. You could see Spart1e's HP melting in an instant. How on earth is he still avoiding him?
I have no idea, but it's always dangerous to run into the Blazkowicz when you know that ability is up and base makes it count. It didn't count in the moment, but the pressure ensued, and eventually he got his frag. He's also got Spart1e up to spawn. Big defensive rail, though, to keep himself alive.
God damn. All right, sick way to start it off. We both love a bit of Veil. Oh my. Certainly is no shroud over what the game plan is for base, though. You just go straight back in, looking to land another punch, and the right hook from the rail will shut down Spart1e. 2 kills into the game now. Good rocket as well, but he's pushed off the ledge. Can't hang around for the meantime to snap himself up that major item. And knows exactly what's going on. Spart1e will make the move over. Wants to commit to the kill first. Gut shot from the rail. At least breaks him down a little bit when it comes to stack, but it is still a kill.
He's also delaying the Mega. Base heard the movement over by the Heavy, though, so we'll know what's up. Won't know exact timing, though, so that could be a bit of a problem. We'll need to play a little bit slower around the next range of pickups. He also can't commit for this Heavy as well, but Spart1e's in the area. The Hive Bolt has been just pestering him so far. Like, little mosquitoes constantly battling and eating away at that stack, and it's working tremendously as Spart1e once again is pushing in. This time doesn't connect to the rail, though, and Base looking healthy beyond and before that big rocket.
He needs one of those Australian hats with a cork on to stop all the mosquitoes and flies.
It would definitely actually suit him.
I think it would. It'd be a good look. I could see him pulling it off. Ooh. However, for Base, he's not breathing at this point now. He's dead. 2-2, 2 minutes in. Veil, always living up to what we like to see from it. Bit of a miss, though, on the peek out. Tri-bolt again being spammed across. And this is the scary factor for me. You let Spart1e get into a position where he starts to gain control, that's where you're going to have a rough day. That's what we've seen historically throughout all 3 of these maps. Spart1e gets into control. He's in a position then where he can take fights to you. He can swing wide. He can play the aggressive style of Quake that we know he loves. And it works out worlds better than what happens for the first few minutes. Drop down with a rail. I thought that could have been a misplay, Dan. But he still hits it. And he's bullying him. Look at that.
He's been so clutch all day long. Spart1e, my friend, turn it down.
Good moves. Big shots as well. Hitting the ones that matter most. He hates the easy ones, Dan. He loves the hard ones.
I think that is a fair assessment. Once again, coming in, that little flick rail off the start. Switches to the rocket. But he's taken a lot of damage for this. It's not the right push, and this time he does lose out. And these are the type of mistakes that Spart1e needs to cut out of his game. Good old Carly.
Sorry.
Oh, he's lost it.
Sorry, I've dropped a snort. I couldn't help it. Base back in. Go on, my son, with a shotgun. Gets the frag, 4-3. You can't be dropping Carly's on me. I didn't expect it. I'm sorry.
Calm down, Jack.
I know, it's first game, Dan. I'll rein it in. I'll rein it in. Oh, hello. Man, knocking on the door. He's trying to offer him some unsolicited products. He said, please go away, sir. I'm not interested. He's done a nice amount of damage with that rail. Trying to hold him back, teetering on a knife's edge of getting the Mega. Does eventually start to step into it and pick it up. Good rocket. Base on the lower end of stack here. Actually putting up a brilliant fight. Does so much damage. He was primed and ready for that one as well. The rail impacting onto Spart1e. Spart1e fragile now. He could be broken in seconds here. 2 LGs up against 1 Swede. That is not fair.
No, he's going to mash Swede in a minute as Space is coming in here. He's got timing on the Mega, but Spart1e's just pestering him. He can't actually connect with anything. He hits the rail, but it's a bit too late. Spart1e now got himself the Mega and keeps himself alive. Stack isn't there, but Spart1e has absolutely no fear. And somehow he comes out of that engagement still alive. I mean, he's got balls of steel, I'll give him that. He's like these GameStop investors.
What's happened to you? You've been on Reddit for the past 4 days. You just started bringing out all the memes.
It's been too long, but Spart1e's pushing in here. Big orb up top. Actually gets knocked off. That's really unfortunate as he had the timing. He is still alive, though.
I guess you could say he
cannot get this
read
kill.
that one. 5 minutes
and
in,
Base is pushing in. See, catches Spart1e from behind. This time it should be a frag. No shenanigans like we saw at the end of S-Style.
Oh, man. This is huge. 5-3. Base. Oh, keeping control of the game here. This dual wield has had some pivotal moments. Is this going to be one of them? Comes back off it onto the starting shotty. And it is going to start and end a fight in a matter of seconds there. As again, Spart1e goes down. 3 frags of advantage in favour of base. Nearly at the 6-minute mark here. It's looking good so far. Just pre-firing on the angle as well. Trying to deny any push from Spart1e. Leaps round. Does have the high ground. Surely not another connection from the same angle. Doesn't land it this time. But the peak! That was dirty.
No, that's such a nice push, and the rail connects as well, and every time I think base is slowing this down to his pace, Spart1e comes out with some absolutely bananas engagement, and this time gets full control off the back of it as well. Good split between the major items. Base, bit much on the ropes. Ooh, bonk. Ran headfirst into a wall there, but base actually misses the easy rail. Spart1e trying to push in, and wow. This is so incredibly back and forth.
It sounded like Arnie had joined the cast for a second, but that was certainly a hell of a play. Base back in with the LG. Rick him to pieces. Again now. Base! Ooh, blowing the scoreline more and more. The longer it goes on, lucky to be alive as he backpedals his way out of there. Barely holding on to this realm. 75 stack, building himself back up. Wanted to go for a flashy play, but Spart1e instead just turns tail and runs away. We're at 7 minutes, Dan. It's a big lead for base. It is entirely doable. We saw this happen back on Exile. The sudden burst of energy that came back for the Swede. Can he get that going here? If so, he needs to do something soon.
He does. Now he's decided to slow the pace down as well. The items are tied on timing pretty much. Spart1e's going to have to work out where base is and try and cut him off, or at least hit a rail on the pickup. But this time he does decide to retreat. Not too safely though, just to trade items. Nice tick of damage there with the rocket. Identifies base's maneuvers. It's got him trapped a little bit over by the telly, but base does get himself away. And it's going to be a game of very much cat and mouse now for the next 2 minutes. So Spart1e has to force the issue.
Elevated angle.
And this is exactly where base thrives.
Back up
has his opponent. Yeah. Effectively has his opponent on a string, just kiting him around the map into damage. And this time it does feel that base has got a control of the tempo.
Issue is obviously on Veil as well. Far harder for you to actually take that initial fight and knock him off the high ground as easily as we saw it happen on Exile, but there's a lot more variety in terms of the actual map movements you can take to combat against it here. A little bit more clean cut. Base, he's done a good job of being able to avoid a lot of these fights that he's not a fan of. Putting pressure on once again as well. Pop the dual wield when you know that the timing's close for the Mega. Puts a little bit of extra fear on Spart1e. Might make him second guess the fight. And he's starving himself out, Dan. Really not leaving himself with enough time to get back into this one. It would have to be flawless, and even then it's cutting it incredibly close. And he's been cut down. It's over.
Yeah, it is over now. Caught off the spawn as well. Base might not follow up with the frag, but the damage alone just halts that aggression from Spart1e. Sweeping up the light armors as well. Really well played from both these players. Spart1e looked like he had an opportunity to get back into it, but it was just that kind of bridge too far on this map, unlike Exile. You can see not the rustiness, but the lack of experience from both players on Exile so far. You can see base really struggling to slow down the tempo, whereas on here, as much as Spart1e had a lot of ins, base also was very much in control for large periods where he wasn't able to do that on map 2.
Let's try and finish this one off with a little bit of style, it seems, in the final 30 seconds. But yeah, completely agree with you. I think the whole series was really nice to watch. Exile was down to just clutch play the entire time for Spart1e. But base, he still had some smooth moves. Definitely warmed up the longer the day has gone on. However, this is still going to be a 2-1 split. That's going to be the best outcome, but that's still a good outcome, Dan. That's still a series win against base.
Cannot argue. Definitely was looking at base favored on this one. But again, it just shows how good Spart1e is. Like, everyone always counts him out because he's just one of these players that just can't pull out the results. But when he has his day ride, not only has he got some incredible aim and hit some absolutely clutch shots, but the strategy, particularly on map 1, was on point. I think map 2 was a bit more of a brawl. Map 1, it was all the strategical winners with flicking between graphics, and all credit to him. He fully deserves that victory. He could have taken it 3-0. Base was just a little bit better on the third map, but it was closer than the scoreline predicts as well.
He was giving it. It looked really good. Like all three of these maps were very enjoyable to watch. Like you know, I think in terms of some of the crazy plays, right? Back on map 1, obviously we had the trade frag that came out with the turret, with the rockets. That was really crisp. Exile was just an outrageous display of being able to control the spawns from base until somehow Spart1e started just clutching. That was all it was, right? Because he was like, what, 3k damage down, something ludicrous like that.
Yeah, no, it was 2k damage off, but I think just from a purely, I don't know, sustainability point of view, from a play style, the amount we talk about Spart1e's clutch moments, he needs to just get that consistency in the strategy there, and this is the problem, because as soon as those clutch moments don't connect, that's when he loses. So you can't be basing your whole victory probability around hitting clutch shots. It needs to be more refined, and he can do that. He showed it on map 1. There were clutch moments, but he also forced the issue. So if he can then take that step further, that's when he becomes one of these players that again starts creeping up the leaderboard to becoming at very, very least a very strong, mid-level there in EU leaderboards. He's got that in him. It's just, as you said in the intro, consistency.
That's what it is. It's like making a cake. If you don't get the consistency right, you're probably not making a cake. You're making dough.
So what you're saying is that he's got the raw ingredients. He needs the recipe for success.
You just need a big old whisk.
You do. And a wooden spoon. Sometimes,
yeah. Or a mixing bowl, because if you've got too small of a bowl, that could probably also affect the consistency. But it was a consistently good series, Dan. Really, really fun to watch. In terms of a way to start off the 4th week, that was a banger. It was lovely to see Spart1e actually get himself a victory as well, right? Because there's been a couple of times where he's been so close to glory and somehow just been left in a gory state. So the fact that this time he does actually get a 2-1, huge stuff. Any final thoughts on this one, Dan?
No, I agree with what you said. And with how close a lot of these series are becoming throughout the matchups, every single point counts in order to moving away from that relegation zone, because it's not where Spart1e fans want to see him. It's not where Spart1e wants to be. He definitely deserves to be higher. So I've got to give kudos to him today. He performed exceptionally well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Still, more Quake to come, though, of course. When we come back in, a bit of a treat on the North American side of things, it's time for Rafa to take on Dramus. That'll be up after the break. Do not go anywhere. It should be a sickening affair.